the minutes of our last meeting. Motion by Sharon, seconded by Matt. Looking at our minutes, they're not real long and so forth, and I think Jan did a good job as usual. And if we have no corrections in regard to this, I'll call for a vote on our minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to our informational items. We got Brian here. Unfortunately, Brian was gone the last meeting. But I don't know if anybody really had any questions for you the last meeting, Brian. And I did look through this, and I didn't see a whole lot of real issues or anything like that. Looks like you guys are doing all right down there. Anybody have any questions for Brian? Or Brian, maybe you want to report to us first.
I'll keep it brief. I've got in the packet there minutes from the March meeting, just doing year-end work around the treatment plant for boiler testing, electric testing, things like that. So been a busy year, and our fiscal year ends pretty quick here, so we're looking forward to next year as well. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Do you have any bids coming up on anything major for you?
We just had a few come back on some concrete work, some pipe replacement that needs to be done. So we've just had them. Those will show up in your packet next month, since this is just approved.
I'll say this. If any of you ever want to go on a thorough tour of one of our entities, and that would be, of course, down here at the Greater Peoria Sanitary District. We had a wonderful tour. Betty will attest to it because Betty was on it and I was on it. And in fact, I think just about everybody on our committee made it. And it was a great tour that Brian put on for us. And I might say this. Brian, before he became the director of this, he was their legal aspect of the Greater Peoria Sanitary District. He does have a law degree. And once you get down there and they start talking about the sanitary district, you'll understand why you got to have a law degree.
Thank you. Happy to have anyone down for a tour anytime.
Thank you. Mark, I think you're up next.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Update you on several projects. There's a lot on the list going on. Top off the list, the public defender in the IT space construction is ongoing. We just had some meetings down there this morning with both the contractor and the architect, and those are all moving along on schedule right now. So hopefully we're still looking at, for public defender, the end of July. Possibly. One of the major things, the furniture order was put in and issued PO, so that's a major thing. So moving right along. Out at the jail, the CUVs for the kitchen, those are the 4 rooftop units. That work is in progress. If you remember, we went out and issued POs for 2 brand new ones and the rebuild of the 2 others, and that work is currently in process. Still waiting for the boiler. That had a pretty large lead time out at the jail. Roof replacements, those are in engineering and final design and specs for out for bid for replacement later this year on the jail, part of the jail, so that's ongoing. Same with the ring road and the tuck pointing. The jail roof and the JDC roof will be bid together as one project. Those will still go out this year for completion before the end of the year. One bid is finally out. That's the parking lot repair and the drive repair for the JDC. That went out on the 19th of last month. Final specs and design is going on for roof replacement on the 2 high-rise roofs at the courthouse. Those have been inspected and they've looked at those, and those final designs are going on, and those should be going out hopefully 27th, if not a little bit after that. Also at the courthouse, the Hamilton Street Step repair, that is also going on. Those final designs, we've looked at those. They're preparing those for bid. The AV upgrade here, we're waiting on some final pieces to occur on that, and then work around scheduling on the installation that are on the schedule of this building. The probation department in the courthouse, they had asked us to put out bids for a 3-phased process for both painting and carpet replacement up there. They have some money this year. The pre-bid meeting was actually this morning, so that bid is out there. We'll get bids on that and look at what that comes back. And then the ETSB building out on the property next to the highway department, that small building out there needs a roof. It's standard shingled roof, so it shouldn't be too bad. Calvin is working on getting 3 prices on that, and we'll have to replace that. And we knocked one of the items off the list. The 6 split units for the guard stations for air conditioning are all completed at the jail, so all those guard stations will have cooling. That was a big one for them, so that's the list.
Mark, you said that you guys had sent that bid out in regards to the juvenile detention center area. When will that be due?
That is due May 10th.
May 10th, okay. Now also, if at any time the board would like to meet at some of these places, like we went out and met last year at the jail, and they took us on a little tour of the jail to show us what some of the problems were, and that was very helpful to, I think, many of us to see, what they needed to have repaired. And if you want to tour the jail, they are really willing to give you their time, and they do a good job, and we can even meet out there. I know the highway department would like to have us meet out there since they're right next door, just about. They wouldn't have to come clear down here to the courthouse. But maybe some of you wouldn't want to deviate and go away from the boardroom down here. But anyway, I'm just telling you, because some of you were not on a board last year when we did have that meeting out there. Does anybody have any questions for Mark? Danny?
Yeah, what's the status, if it's in the budget for the county clerk's office for getting their air conditioning up and going, and over to county jail? I hear it's in the budget, right? That's what I've been told.
County clerk.
Circuit. I think you mean the circuit clerk.
Bobby Spears' office.
There's money in the budget for a remodel of that office, which we will begin to engage Dewberry on the preliminary part of that in this year's budget.
But when I was down there and I toured it with Phil last week, it was really warm in there, and he's telling me something about the dampers aren't working or something like that.
Not aware of that, and I've not seen that ticket in the system at all. So we'll follow up with Calvin on that and have him look into that. So
Then out at the jail, the same thing?
well, the jail, we've got several projects going on. For the guard stations, those are all completed. Those have been done. And in the kitchen area, they're working on 4 rooftop units for air conditioning and heating there. So there's multiple projects going on out there right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay, thank you, Mark.
thank you, sir.
Our next items have to do with 2 resolutions that we need to look at today, and they're both from the highway department. And Mr. Gillis, are you going to handle both those for us?
Just the first one, Mr.
Just the first one, okay. I need a motion to get this on the floor, right? Okay, motion by Betty, seconded by, what's your name? Sharon.
In 2024, we're going to rehabilitate the bridge on Maxwell Road. That project will actually entail from 116 to Faber Lane. And then in 2025, we're going to go from Faber Lane to Middle Road, and then from Middle Road out to Dirksen Parkway, from Maxwell Road to Dirksen Parkway on Middle Road. Maxwell Road's going to become 3 lanes. We're going to have a 5-foot sidewalk on the west side and a 10-foot multi-use trail on the east side. Middle road's gonna be 2 lanes. We're just gonna put a 10-foot path on the north side of that, and it'll connect up to the one on Dirksen Parkway. Normally when we do projects with federal funding, we try to save up our federal funding, and we do 80% federal funding, 20% local funding. We're not quite there yet on our local match, or I mean, not on our local match. We're not quite there to the 80% cost of the federal amount for this project. So we're looking for other federal funds. So there's where this resolution's coming in. We are applying, or we did apply for federal Transportation Alternatives Program funds through PUATS. These TAP funds can only be used for sidewalks and trails and other appurtenances for sidewalks and trails. I want you to please ignore the numbers in your agenda packet because they changed last Wednesday. We've got preliminary approval through the PUATS Technical Committee for 80% of the cost of the project now. They did not have enough applicants when the applications were due. They did not have enough applicants. So therefore, instead of holding every project to the maximum of $486,000 in federal funds, they went ahead and bumped our project to an 80-20% match. So our new numbers, we will receive $543,159 in federal funds and $135,790 in local match. And that totals the $678,949 we have estimated for the sidewalk and the dirt work and everything we need to do for the sidewalks. The reason this is before you is that PUATS requires us to pass a support resolution just so every board is aware what their staff is doing, and that saying that the board approves of us applying for and receiving the funds, and that you as the board will provide matching funds. The caveat with this one is, though, if we did not apply for these, we would spend that entire $678,000 out of our motor fuel tax funds anyway. So what this does, what this does is it reduces our local match by $543,000. So that was a lot. So any questions for me?
So now are you saying that 192,000 is going to be what now?
It's going to be $135,790.
Okay, that's what I.
Yep.
So that's a helper.
That's a big helper. And we're not appropriating any funds or anything for this right now. It's just saying, the board is just saying, yes, we support the application and we will apply any matching funds we have to. When we get ready for this project, it'll be in 2024 when we're doing what we call the federal agreement. That's when all the funds will be appropriated, and we'll have the exact dollar amounts
then. And basically, you're going to do the bridge right there in 24.
Yes.
And in 25, then in 25, you'll finish the whole road and so forth.
Correct.
Okay. So this isn't going to happen immediately. And whose district is that in? That is in Allison's?
Don't remember, Mr. Salzer.
I
I think
think-
there's a couple in there.
Whose? Paul? Oh, Paul and you. See. You're keeping me straight. I knew it was right there where I like to go eat, Fairview Farms. Any other questions on this? Okay, calling for the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. And Amy's going to be up here for the last one, and we need a motion on this from Terry, seconded by Danny.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is annually, and usually in the fall, we take our annual quotations for the materials that we're going to be using in the upcoming year. We didn't get a good list of folks for pavement markings. We work with the city of Peoria to do our pavement markings for us. So there's certain vendors that they prefer for their pavement marking materials. We have an intergovernmental agreement with the city that they do our pavement striping for us. So this is for the materials. We only buy what we need, but this is an additional vendor that we want to be able to choose from if we need to when we do that work with the city of Peoria. So it's just accepting the quotations from this vendor in case we need their materials for the upcoming season.
This is one of those things where we trade off with the city. They do certain things for us and we do certain things for them, right?
Yeah, we also pay them for some of their services as well.
Any questions for Amy? Okay. Coin for the question on the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Is there any other public comment? Okay. I'm going to recognize a person that was here last month and he didn't know he could get up and speak. This is Jeff, and Jeff, you're going to have to give him your last name. And Jeff has been working on a project. He didn't know whether we would be interested in this or not, but I'm going to give him a few minutes here to speak to us.
Hello, Jeff Council. Is this on? It's on? Oh, it's on? Okay, I can't hear it. Jeff Council here. Yeah, so I've been working on Scott's Law, the move over law, slow down, move over law, for about 4 years now. Just a little about my background. I'm a mechanical engineer, worked for Caterpillar for 20 years. So I'm on this new direction towards traffic safety, and Scott's Law is one of my biggest initial projects because I saw the opportunity to try and prevent many of these crashes into our responders. So like I said, I've been working on this for about 4 years now, and the last three of those years I've been collecting crash data. So I now have 2,100 crashes in those 3 years, which I'm drawing data from. And this data tells a pretty exciting story, which gives us hope and direction. And so this story that I see in this crash data is such a strong story that I've tried to quickly get it to this deliverable stage. So I've condensed this 3 years of work down to the size of a postcard, which I can give to responders now and talk them through it, and they can start to use this information immediately to keep themselves safer. So I think it's a pretty exciting story. So I got these postcards, and then I also condensed it down to a pocket card so they can carry it with them, and it's a quick reference checklist basically of these scene risk factors. Any questions? If anybody's interested in a copy, I could pass some out. I know I've talked with several of you guys already.
Why don't you distribute those to our board members?
Sure, yeah.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Is there a relationship between the locations of the crashes and the local or state efforts to limit distracted driving? Do you see a relationship where many of these people are texting or eating or talking on the phone, or where they have stricter laws against that? Does that help?
Yeah, basically you're asking about where there's more efforts to reduce distracted driving, are there fewer crashes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I've got this concept in my mind that I'd like to develop more that I call islands of effort and islands of success. If you have this island, whether it be geographical or on a time scale, where you put more effort into something, you can make a difference and improve it, but then where you don't see that improvement. So it's a good question. And that's where I've got two key categories: driver behavior risk factors, which we all know and understand: impaired, distracted, drowsy, fast, reckless, careless. And then I've got scene risk factors. And the scene risk factors is where this story gets exciting, because those are things that you can look for when you're on scene and then take action to keep yourself safer. So the driver behavior risk factors is a much larger longer term problem to try and solve, right? Distracted doesn't stand out from this crash data that much, but it's one of those factors that it's hard to capture that because we don't know if those drivers were distracted or not in many cases. Impaired is the biggest one that stands out to me from this crash data. So, does that answer your question?
I think so, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
No other questions? Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay, moving on to miscellaneous. For the good and welfare of Peoria County from the Infrastructure Committee. Nobody's got anything for the good and welfare? Have you been anybody been down there to see any of the shows? I think the first day it rained on them, didn't it, or something? Did it rain on them the first day? Did they go anywhere, Scott, or did they?
So the very first day was actually at Peoria Riverfront Museum. That was I think a jazz concert, and then we had students here Friday and today, and then when weather is inclement, I believe they're using the center court at Northwoods Mall.